Come on in, family. We are definitely one. And what a blessing it is to know that in this season. Come on in. On this Sunday, it's all about healing. We have a very special program designed for healing today because we are one. We're one with the one. We're one with the all that is. That first Hermetic principle. The all that is mine, and we're one in divine mind. We're one. We're not separated from the Creator, which is the cause of all suffering, is the belief that we are separated from our Creator. We're one. We're one with all the wisdom that there is. We're one with all the love that there is. We are one with all the peace that there is. And we're one with each other, no matter what race, creed, belief system, dogma, religion, we're still one. We're one, male, female, we're one. We have masculine qualities and feminine qualities. We're whole and we are one. And I am whole. Let's affirm that going into our time together this morning. I am whole. Yes, let's recognize that. I'm whole, I'm worthy, I'm deserving. And I am still as my God created me. I am still as God created me. I am still loved. I am still worthy. God still has a plan for my life. And that's the truth this morning. And that's the way it really is this morning. Good morning, Joe. Good morning, Sandy. Good morning, Bonnie. Good morning, our TLC family. And good morning to the family members we haven't met in person yet, but as Spirit will have it, maybe one day we will meet in person. Today, we're transcending our father wounds and our men. We're healing. This is all about healing, transcending our father wounds so that we can heal. And then we've been focusing all month on the healing of our men. You know, in March, we have Women's History Month. So last year we started utilizing June as a time to focus on our men. We're all about oneness and we're all about equality. So we have our TLC men coming on today to help bring about this healing today. Ken is not with us today, but we shout out to Reverend Ken, the father of TLC. He has been in that role for many, many years, standing as a father presence at Transforming Love Community. So we say happy Father's Day, Reverend Ken, wherever you are. And we say happy Father's Day to all fathers. We say happy Father's Day to even mothers that have had to play both roles. We say happy Father's Day to all. So now we're going to bring on Dr. Spencer Murray, Reverend Royce, and my son, Coach Lou Beatty. Welcome, y'all.
Hey, Rev.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
Yes. Good morning. Happy Father's Day.
Happy Father's Day.
Indeed.
Father's Day. Happy Father's Day to everybody who's tuning in too. Love y'all.
Mm-hmm.
So, Spence, you can talk about why we designed this month.
Yeah.
And Royce has already spoken. You spoke. Lou will be speaking next Sunday.
Yeah. Well, we designed the month, like you said, to uplift and celebrate men, because we know, like, out here in the greater society, sometimes there's not a lot of spaces and places that really uplift men. They talk about, toxic masculinity and things like that, and certainly it can create the idea that men are bad, masculinity is bad, and all those things are bad. And so, we have to do it for ourselves. We have to uplift our men ourselves, and recognize them, let them know they are valued and worthy, and we see them,
Yeah.
and everybody wants to be seen. And so, I've been doing a thing myself this month of just recognizing different guys I know who are fathers and putting it on Facebook and just celebrating them to be seen. And so the idea is that we see you, we appreciate you, we love you, and to really put this divine masculinity back into the proper place in humanity, along with divine feminine. So it's that's just this whole month has been about that. And so
Yeah.
looking forward to our good brother Coach Lou next week, giving the message next week. And so I know he'll talk about that a little bit. So yeah.
So
June
we see no harm under your name.
Yes. Yes. So it really is in line with what I do. And the message of no harm keeps evolving, because you talk about healing, and that is what it stands for, the National Organization for Healing and Redefining Manhood. So we're redefining it in a healthy way, taking all these unhealthy behaviors that many of us learn about being a man, and kind of reimagining and redefining it, but healing first. And so it takes healing first. And so it's really a blessing. I tell people all the time, no harm is not just an organization, but it's who I am. It's
Yes,
really
it is.
it's who I am, and it is my journey, as it is these brothers' journey as well. And so it'll be around forever.
When I met you, you were teaching at Paul Robeson.
Yes, I was teaching
He's
at Paul Robeson.
empowering Black young men.
I was teaching at Paul Robeson, and it within that class, when Paul Robeson started, it was one of the schools that was proposed to be an all-male academy for young men. And at that time, it was a couple of organizations took it to court. ACLU was one that said you can't have single-sex education in public schools. Of course, it might be different now. But at that point, it got taken to court. And so with Paul Robeson and Malcolm X Academy and Marcus Garvey Academy and Seroma, Mae Jemison, all these schools started schools of choice. So anyway, we ended up having about 60% boys and 40% girls. But within the school, I taught all boys for about 4 or 5 years. So we could kind of navigate the classrooms inside the school, where I taught fifth grade. I taught all boys in fifth grade. Those boys are probably 36, 37 years old now, and they're friends of mine. You know what I mean? It's such a blessing. And so this is who I am. It's the work I do.
That's who you are.
It's been a blessing.
That reminds me of my son, because he is a coach, and he's been a coach. And when I'm out here in these streets with him, and we run into these guys that are grown, and he has coached them, and some of them have even gone on to the NFL. So, Coach Beatty, you have a few words before you?
Sure. Just to speak to that, the greatest trophies are not just the guys that make it to the NFL, but the guys who are citizens, who are good people, who do their part. So it's been a pleasure to been able to impact and lead people in that way, and be somewhat of a father figure to those outside of my family. So it is fulfilling, and has been a great joy.
Yes, I'm proud of you, baby.
Well, I accept. Thank you.
And then Doctor, I'm going to call him Doctor today, because Royce has been in this healing space for a very, very long time. And I just found out last week that he has a healing group on Facebook. So I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Royce.
Thank you, Rev. It always tickles me when people do that. I remember, I don't even remember the name of the station now. It was in, I feel like it broadcast in Highland Park. I know Mikael, who recently made his transition, had a show. Yeah. There were a couple of ladies who would have me on their show sometimes. And one was always calling me Dr. Royce. I kept saying, I'm not a doctor. I just get to participate in people's healing. But it is an honor to be able to do that. And I'm very thankful to be able to be a vessel of healing. God is the healer. And
Yes.
I'm able to be able to be a vessel of that healing. And I say that God is the healer, that we're vessels and love is the tool that makes that healing possible. And both the Bible and, of course, in miracles back that up. Oh,
Yes.
But yeah, we recently started a Facebook group called Melanated Men Interested in Healing. Just to provide a space because there aren't a whole lot of spaces.
That's right.
Specifically for the healing of men, and definitely not specifically for the healing of melanated men. And so this again has just been a recent endeavor to provide a space for healing for the brothers.
And thank you. And we'll put it back up and people can go there and join and get the support that is needed. So thank you. You will be hearing from each person individually as we move on with this morning, and we're giving thanks. We're giving thanks right now for what God has in store for our time together right here and right now. I'm starting out today, and then the men will be taking it over. In 2019, my father made his transition, and I want to say to my father right here and right now, happy Father's Day. Happy Father's Day. We had a very difficult, tumultuous relationship. My father was a dark-skinned Black man, and I'm saying that for a reason, because some people may not realize that this colorism thing can be very painful. My father's father and a lot of his other relatives were fair-skinned, but he was dark. So that was something that was wounding to him, walking around in this world and being looked at as less than because of the color of his skin. So he had that. He didn't really know his father. He had no model for a father. And when I was in my mother's womb, my father was in service. My father served in two branches of service. He was in World War II. So a lot of these things that I'm saying to you now, I have just pretty much collected through my healing journey, and even as recently as a few weeks ago, because the thing that I'm knowing, that our healing journey is a journey that never stops. We will be doing the healing from now on. So since I didn't know him, grew up living in a family, intergenerational house, grandmother, grandfather, aunts and uncles. And when Dad came home from service, we moved out of that home to our own home. And that's when I felt like I had gone to hell. I believe that my father had post-traumatic stress syndrome from the war. And even a couple of weeks ago, when I think about some of his behaviors, I'm pretty sure that that's what he had. But who knew anything about that? And who, as far as our community, our culture, psychologists were not like a thing for us. Like, that's something that other people do. Melanated people don't go to psychologists back in the day. Well, we certainly needed to, but we didn't. So anyway, my father was violent. So I grew up in domestic violence, and I knew something was wrong because my grandfather, total opposite, a man of God. And I'm not talking about tongue in cheek, but I'm talking about in the way that he lived. So all of those years, I was trying to get out. I was trying to find a way out because I was just tired of all of the violence and as I grew up, I was telling the guys earlier before we began this today that when I came into spirituality, I realized I had to forgive my father, and I had to forgive my past. I had to forgive everybody, because then I'm understanding that my soul drew my parents. You know, there is a belief system, and I'm not trying to put any of my belief systems on you, but in my studies, which I've been studying a long, long time, there is a belief system that we chose our parents. We chose our time of entry. We chose our sex. We chose our parents for soul growth. And that really helped me. I started that healing with my father way back then when I came into this study in the 70s. I started that healing. And when I started this forgiveness every day of my dad and doing my affirmations, my dad called me. He had never visited me. He had never come to Detroit. But after I started that study, he says, I'm coming to visit. I broke out in hives. I had this fear because he was so overbearing, overpowering. Now I'm grown. I'm in my own home. I don't know what it's going to be like being in my house with him. Is he going to come over here and try to take me over, me and my husband? Anyway, he came and the healing began. He got very ill in 2017, and I was visiting, and I saw that it was taking a toll on my mother. It was taking a toll on my sister. And I, having been in ministry as long as I've been, I've seen how in family situations, sometimes it's not the whole family that supports. Sometimes it's just that one person and all that pressure's on them. And I was not going to have that. So I began going and I began caretaking. And after it got more severe, I stayed. And God set this up because my father and I needed a healing. Nobody could have told me that I was going to caretake him at the end of his life, because all those years of all that I went through, I thought I would have been the person that just wouldn't even have been there, possibly would have showed up at the funeral, but that might have just been it. Spirit had another idea. So in the caregiving, I got to know my father. He got to know me. There were times I wanted to say, forget it, but Spirit always blocked that behavior, had me stay there so I could get the healing that is needed. And I am here today to say, I'm happy that we got the healing. I knew the day, I knew the night that he was going to leave because Spirit told me. I told my mom, and she says, how do you know? I says, Mom, I can't tell you how I know. I just know this is it. Say everything you need to say. Same thing to my sister. And that night, I made sure that I had that cot next to his bed, candles, incense, music, and was able to whisper in his ear of my understanding and my appreciation for him. Even with all the violence, I'm still glad that he was in the house, because Spirit was showing me that house could have been totally different and worse if he wasn't there. One tear on his way out came out of his eye to let me know that he heard me. Hearing is the last thing that goes when someone is making their transition. And today, when I think back about my dad, I don't think back about all the fights. I don't think back about the day he punched me in my face and broke my nose. I don't think back to that. I think back to that night, the beauty of Spirit, the beauty of Spirit allowing us to heal before he left the planet. And my prayer today is that all people will understand it is vital that you make peace with your parents, father and mother. On some level, we drew them, and there is no mistake. My soul grew. Honestly, without the tumultuous relationship I had as a child, I probably would not be in ministry. What I went through, it propelled me to want to help others. It has given me an understanding that I probably would not have had. So again, I say to my dad, happy Father's Day, Dad. I love you and I appreciate you. And I say to all men, if you haven't been the best father, forgive yourself. There are reasons why we are like we are. I'm forgiving myself. I wish I could have been a different mother, but I don't know. I didn't know then what I know today. So I'm turning this over now to my bro king, Dr. Spencer.
Rev, man, thank you for that sharing. And I just want to take a couple of seconds and hold space for that, for all your sharing. So we all can feel that, you know. And I'm so glad we're doing this today.
Me too.
So glad. Happy Father's Day to your father. Happy Father's Day to my father. You know, you and I, you and I have had many talks about our fathers before, and
Yes.
our fathers, when you're talking about age and generation, around the same generation, my father would be 102 this year if he was living. You know, and he's in World War II, as yours was. And the healing is so important. And as with you, I don't think about those things upset at, that I was angry at, you know, that he drank a lot, all those things, Rev. And it is vital for anyone listening that you heal with your parents, and men heal with your fathers, and daughters, and all that healing, period. But in talking to the men, it's very, very important, because I think the unaddressed father wounds translate into our wounds, translate into our relationships,
Yes.
translate how we showing up, because we have a lot of people. I'll say a lot of men, but now I know there's a lot of people walking around as the walking wounded.
Yes.
They have normalized their woundedness, right? And don't even know that they're wounded, don't even know that there's an issue. You know, you hear people all the time, Rev. You know people all the time. Well, this is just the way I am. Well, you know that
Yes.
they don't even they that's just the way they show up. They don't even know anything's wrong. But yet, when you look at the results of relationships in their lives, that is showing that something is off. That something is off. And what I came to realize with my own father, and like you, I went to therapy a couple of times, and of course part of that was writing a letter. My father left this planet in the physical when I was 17, so you're talking about 1982, and I was 17. He was in the midst of still having his foot up my behind, I'll put it that way. You know what I mean? Controlling, you know, emotionally, sometimes physically abusive, all that harm was present. And let me say, and the healing came in when I was able and became able to hold space for his own wounds,
Yes.
for his wounds.
Yes.
You understand?
Yes.
His wounds, and then when you translate, when you go further with that, I realized that my wounds, my anger, my unforgiveness, wasn't so much of what he did or what he didn't do, that my wounds came from my longing for him to see me.
Yes.
You understand? That's deep.
Yes.
When you have a longing for someone to see you, when you have a longing for someone to love you, when you have a longing for a certain type of relationship with your parent, and it often, Rev, we talk about this all the time in TLC. It has the potential to put us in a victim mentality, because we're looking outside, we're looking for love, we're looking for attention, we're looking for that, we're looking for that, we're looking for somebody else. So here I am not getting it. You put yourself in almost a victim state, because every child wants, every child wants that from their parent. But once you realize their wounds, and I think about your dad and the times that your dad and my dad came up in,
Yes.
And I can say this now, not just because of the times, but I work with men who perpetrate violence. I'm a certified DV educator, sexual violence, intimate partner violence, work with men and healing. This is the work I do, restorative work, healing
Yes.
work always, and have done it at TLC.
Yes.
And so I realized that um, men in their own woundedness oftentimes believe that their own indifference or non-expression of emotions, emotional withdrawal, aloofness, being hard, suppressing all emotions, all the things that we saw in our own fathers, they really thought that was protecting them.
Yes.
Because you know what? It was protecting them in a way back then.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
I think about this movie. I think I thought about this morning. Remember that scene from the movie Glory that Denzel Washington was in a long time ago? Him and what's the other actor's name?
Glory or fences?
Glory. No, I'm talking about Glory
Oh,
now.
glory.
I'm talking about
Okay.
Glory from a long time ago. The war
Okay.
where they were, the men were in the military. The Glory. And there's a scene in Glory when Denzel Washington was strapped to the pole and they were whipping him. They were lashing him over and over and over on his back, the same wound over and over. And as the camera, honed in on his face, focused in on his face, you could see him holding it in. You could see the tears coming down, but he was trying to hold it in because he didn't want to show that he was hurt. He
Right.
didn't want to show that he was vulnerable. He didn't want to give them the pleasure of breaking him down. He didn't want to do that. And so while it's a hell of a scene, right? And we can feel that. I think about men who still believe they have to hold it in.
Yes.
That I can't show you because Shaheerah, if it's your dad or if it's my dad, Shaheerah Spence, I'm trying to prepare you for a world that's going to be hostile and you can't show them or you can't do that. So I'm going to raise you this way. But what we know now is that it has an opposite effect.
Yes.
It can
Yes.
have a totally opposite effect. But it comes from this idea of protection. And so when you look at it in a bigger sense, that all the wounds that our fathers had felt, all the wounds that were transferred to us come from this imperialistic colonial way of manhood and colonial and one that's dominated by the ideal of white body supremacy, all that, is perpetrated. And so all that is the bigger thing, right? The bigger context in which we are existing in these wounds.
Yes.
And the only way to heal is to reveal it and talk about it, Rev. And I've
Yes.
been telling you for 25 years, and everybody at TLC is saying the same. Thank you for being transparent. Thank you for being honest.
Yeah.
Thank you for being vulnerable.
Yeah.
Because that's what we need.
Yes.
And that's what I needed. Because my wounds that I thought that came from my father and transferred to me, my wounds in the process of not acknowledging them and not wanting to see them, I numbed them with a season and I will say seasons of alcohol and drinking and drugs and smoking and doing all that to numb it.
Yes.
Yet, Rev, while we're still in relationship. That's, like we talked about a couple of weeks ago, when wounded masculine meets the wounded feminine. I mean, when two wounded people, that's explosive. That's explosive. And so, when I say Happy Father's Day today, and I think about my father, there's so much grace in it. There's so much love. There's so much grace.
Grace.
Man.
Yes.
The
Because
grace.
we understand now. We understand.
Dude.
Yeah.
Yes, we do. That's we do. That's why I'm looking forward to hearing from my brother Lou, because he not only has the experience of having a father, but now the experience of being a father. Because
Yes.
you can see a lot more. You can see a lot more. And certainly my experience as a teacher. And when I started teaching, Rev, I taught first grade. I taught baby. And do
Wow.
you know what that did for me? Because when I looked at them, and when I looked at those boys, when I looked at those I saw me.
I know that's right.
It saved my life becoming a
Yes.
teacher. You know, and giving back and seeing them and seeing life through the eyes of a child and all that. So it is important. It is important. It is important to heal and understand where those wounds come from, because it was really a longing. It was a longing to know my father,
I
you
know.
know,
Yeah.
and to the degree that I could not admit that, then I could always blame him for not
Right.
being the father I thought he should be. I could always blame him for drinking and coming home drunk. I could always blame him for the way he talked to us sometimes and I can always, but no, no, no. And all that longing was there, but it was but I covered it up with all the stuff that you protect and all the masks that we wear as men, to do all that. So to do all that is to really open ourselves, because you can't heal what you won't reveal. We say it all the time. We say it all the time. So I am blessed, Rev. I am just blessed, and I'm living. I would have to say emotionally, spiritually, physically. As a husband, I am living my best life, because not because of all the outer things, but because of me, because of how I feel about me in the grace I've given myself and my dad, and to just be an open book, just be an open book, because
That's the courage. That's courage.
that's courage and bravery. Because once you get there, you know that there's no weapon formed that could ever prosper. Not even
That's
the one that you form. And I
right.
form. Nothing can ever prosper. So thank you, Rev. I love
Thank
you.
you. I love you.
I
Thank
love you.
you.
I honor you. I bless you.
I bless you.
Happy Father's Day to everyone in your life. Everyone in your
Thank
life.
you.
Father,
Thank you.
thank
Oh,
you. Oh, I'm looking forward to my brother Lou, Coach Lou, um, coming up. That's my man. That's my man. Let me just say this before he starts. This is not only my brother. I always, this is my Aquarian brother. That's special to me. That's my Aquarian brother as well. So Lou, man, I'm just opening up, man. There's a lot. There's a lot about being a father, what you learn, all that stuff, man. So what you got for us, man? You go for it. Now, if it's any questions, man, we can do that a little bit at the end.
For sure, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, so, happy Father's Day to everybody that is a father watching. Happy Father's Day to anyone taking on a father-like role in anyone's life. And I just want to salute all the dads out there that are appreciated or even unappreciated, So, and just know that fatherhood is more than financially, it is being available. And I just wanted to thank you both for sharing your stories of healing, of experiencing. Happy Father's Day to my grandpa, Carl Green. Happy Father's Day to God rest his soul. Happy Father's Day to my grandfather and my stepdad, Bobby Stevens. And of course, my father was living. I have had the wonderful experience of having great models of men who were fatherly. So my experience has been a little different from you guys' experiences, but basically, there are physical or emotional wounds that fathers can present. Those are the father wound. They're not just physical, they're also emotional. And it comes from basically an absence or inavailability. You spoke about how your father was unavailable. She spoke about how her father was abusive. Some fathers are highly critical, and some fathers are just not present. And so I even have had friends who also spoke about having fathers who are unavailable. And I think what's really important about what you guys both have spoken about is offering grace and understanding their story, understanding how they and just trying to better understanding. When we talk about the men from our past, I mean, they dealt with systematic racism. They dealt with economic hardships. We can't forget the legacy of slavery and just the treatment of people. And so we were all raised by some hard dudes. And we're talking about construction work and military minded dudes that had to coexist in a world that was against them. You know, when you consider our people have definitely an experience, they behind enemy lines experience, and so there was seemingly systematic systems in place to actually break up our homes. And so just shout out to the dads out there. And I mean, the goal is to break the stereotypes, even ourselves. You said it, it's reclaiming and renaming what manhood looks like. It's like reclaiming your own legacy. And so, you know, without a father figure, there can be confusion. You can suppress emotions. You'll have anger issues. You have a chance for depression and anxiety. And these are real life issues in not just our community, but in this culture. You know, life is life, and as they say. So the father plays an important role. And so that cannot be, it can't be understated. And so I personally appreciate the lessons I was able to learn from Bobby Stevens and from Lou Beatty Jr. And just the sharing, the consideration, the input, the time. And so, you know, it's our stories are different, yet, you know, you take all what you learn and you try to be the best dad you can be. And even still, you know, you have to find a way to reach your child, because what I experienced in my relationships is not the same thing that they're going through. Heck, it's not even the same time. So it is time to become whole for men. It's time to resolve those ideals of being hard. You know, it's time to become a better listener. We can't just respond with listen, just do it because I'm dad. Because, you know, we're talking about relationships. We're talking about they don't know what life was like, and they're not experiencing the life that we experience. So I think it's just time to recap, you know, whatever has happened for you, and revisit why you think what you think, because we can't keep being the same people we were. You know, and this is not the 80s, you know. And so empathy, grace, um, identifying your core issues so that you can be whole, so that you can heal, so that we can be healing to our own families. If we are to be the protectors and we are to be the guiders, we have to just get with the new reality that it's not okay just to be who we were because we was raised that way. It's not okay to say that I'm just like this. Well, it's a goal for us to heal and to become and to evolve, right? And to offer ourselves well-being. So, you know, these are our goals. For me, is to heal, to head up, to set up systems in my home that just provide the type of structure and growth that we need. And again, I'm just happy for the opportunities I've had in my coaching and my fatherhood and the examples that I had. And so, you know, what you said, Spence, was really big. You know, basically you have to give grace, and you're letting yourself off the hook when you do that. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You also spoke about you know, just acknowledging and validating your own pain. And I just believe that is the first step, because as you stated, if you can't look at what you're dealing with, then it's perpetual.
That's
It's
right.
subconscious. It becomes ingrained, and it's a program that is running. And so, one of the goals is to reprogram.
Yes, sir.
To reprogram, to go back and look at, what was, and offer grace and understand that they were being the best that they could.
That's right.
They were doing the best that with what they knew, and that's how it came through for them. And again, I had some great examples. My grandfather, Lou Beatty Senior, he taught me how to sweep and mop and count money.
Right. Which is all some good skills.
And then you think about what you got from them, and it was rich. What they offered, the shelter.
Yeah.
The legacy.
Yeah.
The coverage.
Yeah.
And so I just think on this day of healing, if we can just keep the right perspective, we can offer grace.
Yeah.
And just be loving and learn through this experience. I think that this is what this is about. I think ways to deal with some of this trauma is you got to find your support group, find your OG. You know what I'm saying? Because a tribe is important.
Yes,
a tribe is important.
Yes.
So again, thank you. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there.
Thank you.
And all the people taking on fatherly roles.
Yeah. Thank you, man. And listen, man, I want to publicly just send you some love and honor you and celebrate you, man, because men need to celebrate each other too, man. I celebrate your presence. I celebrate your years of coaching. I celebrate your journey, brother. I want you to know that, man. I don't want to leave here without you telling the folks about. I see your hat and see your T-shirt, man. And I know that book is coming, man. What does it say, man? What's that about?
Conscious, Focused, and Elevated. It's basically mindset training and just offering emotional health. Basically, just looking at putting proper perspective to this experience and developing the tools we need to be able to assume an elevated stance mentally and physically.
Yeah. That's what's up, man. It's time for it, as we were talking about before, man. Before I bring Royce on, I just want to, Reverend Royce, I want to say two things, just affirm two things. You talk about wounds and wholeness, and coming back to wholeness, man, and talked about those wounds, man. And I think it invites other men to really, really share and really look at what those wounds are. And in the context of relationships, particularly because men, as we say, some men are still walking wounded and still out here going through the motions of still being, wounded and being a father, still being a friend, still going to work, still doing all these things. I thought about the other day, Lou, that in an animal kingdom, the most dangerous animal is a wounded animal.
Yeah, because you're in survival mode.
That's right. That's right. You're in survival mode. So if people, and we're talking about men today, are walking around wounded, then that could, you know what I mean? That could be the cause. When we look at harm, when we look at violence, when we look at that could be the root of that, not addressing our woundedness, man.
Because we're blocked. And so when you're blocked, you can't get intuition. It's hard for spirit to get to you. You're not present.
Yes.
You're only considering and responding to pain that you don't recognize.
That's right. That's right.
And the program is running.
Yeah.
It's like you it's red alert and you think it's a sunny day.
I know. Oh man, that's deep. That's deep. So reprogramming, unlearning, learning, healing, elevating, all that stuff, man. We thank you, man. So we celebrate your experience. Happy Father's Day to you, Lou.
Thank you.
Happy Father's Day. We love you, man. We love you. We'll come back on a little bit later. I want to bring my good brother, the good right Reverend Royce in. Talk about he's been on this healing journey for a long time, not only with himself, but with hundreds and thousands of folks. And so, Royce, what you got for us today, man? What you got for us today about this healing wounds and all that, man?
Thank you, brother. I appreciate that. And honor and kudos to you and Coach Lou and Rev. I'm really appreciative of your sharing so far. I say your plural. the transparency they'll share, the insight, and all of that. And I let me first honor my own father, Lance, who's still living and breathing and doing well. Still have a close relationship with, spoke with yesterday. I'm sure I'll speak with him today. My stepfather, Chuck, my grandfathers, Ernest John Thomason Jr. and John Allen Hall. And this didn't come up until the last little segment. Something came up for me as we talk about transcending father wounds and healing our men. There's something that came up, and in 1994 was the year I decided to give my life to Christ. And that year, that summer, who I talked to more than anyone else was God, and who I thought of more than anyone else was my yet unborn children, who are still yet unborn from a biological standpoint, and I've lost every child I had in divorces. And I think about you, who had a momentary spell of fatherhood, and that didn't come to term. And I really want to honor and hold space for those who might, as we're talking about transcending father wounds and healing our men, which is an incredibly expansive topic, especially to try to cover all of that in just a few minutes. I want to also acknowledge and hold space for those who have felt the wounds of, I've got a good friend who, the way that I came to know him, the way that I came to meet him, was in an effort to keep his elementary school age daughter, who had cancer on the planet, who ended up dying at 9. Nafis Hassan, shout out to him and happy Father's Day to him. And, as I shared, regarding our own things, and, acknowledging that there's another level of healing and another level of pain that often goes unacknowledged for those who didn't get to experience fatherhood, who longed for that but didn't get to really experience it, or life circumstances unfolded in such a way that didn't get to have an opportunity to share experiences with their children if they did have them biologically. And those who have had to bear the incredible difficulty of having to bury a child, when the nature of a man is to protect, and for one's own child to pass. So I want to hold space for that and acknowledge that. And something else came up, and that had to do with, I won't give a whole lot of details about it, but some years ago I was participating in a men's group. And in that men's group, we had a meeting on one particular occasion. And at that time, around that time, Tyler Perry had come out and shared about his experiences of being molested as a boy. And that was part of the discussion in this men's group. And of all of the men who were present in that men's group, half of them confessed to having been sexually abused when they were growing up. And out of that group, half of them identified as same gender loving, began identifying as same gender loving, and still were at that time. And the other half kind of went the opposite direction with it, and endeavored to sleep with as many girls and women as they could, to prove to themselves and others that they weren't. And so from that, something really stuck with me. And I started doing a lot of research and whatnot. And when I was having a radio show, even did a show on it. And I saw how that one thing alone was a silent thing, a hidden thing, an untalked about, undisclosed, taboo thing that very few people even know is the case, that is a significant cause of a lot of the brokenness within our community, within our families, and within our community as a whole, from very, very deep pain, because a man isn't supposed to be violated, right? A man, if he's feeling like he's being violated, feels less than a man. And so I know that you spoke a little bit earlier about the concept of toxic masculinity. And I just want to inspire a level of compassion, just like Rev spoke about with her own father, a level of compassion, because you don't really know exactly what it is that a person's trials or challenges have been. And most people historically have not had the tools to be able to properly deal with very, very deep levels of trauma and very, very deep levels of shame. And so I wanted to speak to all who are experiencing father wounds. You know, again, I'm thankful to, like Coach Lou before me, have had some very positive experiences with my father, and still do. But I do acknowledge that there are many who have very, very different experiences. And I think about my grandfather, Ernest John Thomason Jr. I'm the oldest of me and all of my siblings, as was my father before me and his father before him. And that's who Ernest Sr. was, the first of my grandparents to make their transition. Happened when I was away at school. Never did get to even go to his memorial. In fact, I didn't find out about it until after it had taken place. So the closure was difficult. Mm-hmm. But he was kind of a gruff guy. And he, like has been mentioned by others today, was in World War II. I knew that about him, but there was so much about my grandfather that I really didn't understand or didn't know about him until after he had made his transition. I knew I didn't like the way he talked to my grandmother, who was like an angelic presence. But I feel like I've learned so much more about him since he's been gone than when he was still here. And there's a lot of healing that can happen. For those of you whose fathers have made their way to the other side of the veil, there's still a lot of healing that can happen. And my aunt, I recently visited her in California. Her husband made his transition. They had been married for 40 years. He was a bit older than her, a fair bit older than her, but he made his transition. And I went out there for a little while to be with her a couple months ago. And I had known, she had shared stories with me before about after her father passed. She's the one underneath my father. But after her father, my grandfather passed, she would meet him in meditation on a park bench, and they would have conversation. And he would always share that, okay, I've got to go now, and so forth and so on. When she lived in the Virgin Islands, she would actually project and go to the house where my grandparents lived, and she'd see their dog and stuff. The dog would recognize her and everything. But she shared with me in this recent trip a couple months ago that there was a time where my grandfather, because my very talkative person, a person who doesn't have any problem asking questions, even what most would consider difficult questions, You know, she didn't like how much he drank and how he talked with my grandmother. And, you know, she would kind of challenge him and ask him some questions. And one day he sat her down and said, let me tell you about some things about your father that you don't know. And he shared about how when he was in the war, his good friend, this is a young person, early 20s, 19 maybe, who, you know, would be in the trenches and see his friend right next to him shot in the head. And then he's got to continue going on like nothing just happened. You know, imagine the 19, 20-year-old version of you seeing that happen to any human being, let alone somebody that you're close to, and then with their blood splattered on your face and on your clothes, you've got to keep on going on like nothing just happened. And so, yeah, I'm so thankful for places like No Harm and other spaces like what we recently created with melanated men interested in healing, and other spaces that give men an opportunity for healing, especially melanated men who have experienced both emotional and literal castration, right? It's not been generally acceptable for men, and certainly not Black men, to even have a need for healing. Okay? And so I know that we don't have much time left, but I want to encourage all of us, of those of us who are experiencing father wounds, which is really a God-sized hole in the shape of one's father. You know, ultimately, the issue we might have with our father or mother or spouse or money or whatever else is really just a place where we're needing to welcome the presence of God in more fully.
Yes.
And lesson 137 in A Course in Miracles, it says, when I am healed, I'm not healed alone. And it speaks about the need for healing to be based on a sense of isolation. And wherever it is that you are, I want you to know that you're not isolated, that you're not alone, that there are others who are with you. And in a lot of ways, issues that people have with their fathers and are in some ways also related to experiencing a sense of abandonment or punishment from God, who never seeks to punish and is always closer than breathing and nearer than hands and feet. And so I want to invite us to just welcome into the places where that yearning, where that aching, where that pain, where that resentment, or whatever that area that is calling from within for healing, to just invite the light of God's love into that space. To just invite the light of God's love into that space. Allow the pain to come up, the resentment, the anger, the frustration, the guilt, the shame, whatever it is. Allow it to come up and allow yourself to feel it as fully as you can. And then invite the presence of God's love into that. And for our men, June is Men's Health Month. Our men who are in need of some level of healing. There's no shame to need healing. There's no shame to receive healing. There's no shame in having areas that need to be addressed. And I hold space right now in the purity and the perfection of this moment, calling forth the light of God's love, God's healing power, God's perfection into the spaces within manhood where we feel need to wear masks, or we feel need to hide our wounds, where we feel inclinations to self-medicate. And I call forth the presence and the power, the transformative, vivifying healing power of God into the places within our men and within manhood itself, and particularly melanated men. That trauma is replaced with authentic power.
Mm.
That fear is transmuted into love. That brokenness is transmuted into wholeness. That over-sexualization is transmuted into the sacred.
Mm.
And to even be able to invite the presence of God into one's sexuality. And on this date and in this time and space called now, I thank you, God, for your healing, for the way that you are touching us where we need to be touched, healing us where we need to be healed, redirecting our thoughts, our consciousness, our awareness to be able to see a greater vision, a different perspective, a greater understanding, and a deeper love. Thank you, God, for these and all other blessings in Hashem Yeshua HaMashiach, Shea, and Amen.
Amen. Amen. Oh man. Royce, I was gonna ask you to pray on the way out, but you just did, man. Thank you. You just thank you for that. And I want to say we honor you. We see you for your years of work in healing. This is nothing new to you. So thank you for your presence. Thank you for all that. Thank you, Coach Lou. Um, this is special, and it was special last year, and it's special this year. And I would encourage everybody to go onto Facebook and like everything melanated melanated men interested in healing, and follow TLC. Thank you, brothers. I'm gonna ask that you stay on with me as I close out. Lou, Lou, any closing thoughts? I got it.
Roy,
I feel you, brother.
man, Royce he said it all. He said a lot.
Yeah.
Man, what a ending,
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he was able to capture all what was said and just really, man, he spoke about a couple of things that resonate: the molestation piece, the war piece, the fathers who have lost children.
Yeah.
Thank you, Royce. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. As we come near close, I want to remind everybody what we do here at TLC. Stay to the end. You'll see some of the announcement. Certainly tomorrow is our Soap Monday with our good sister Reverend Danny Stillwell. We'll be there tomorrow. You got all the information. Go to the website. If you forget the information, you got the prayer line and the passcode. Thank you, Reverend Danny. We appreciate you and honor you for your consistency with that. Next week we have Coach Lou. Coach
Yes.
Lou is bringing the message. Look at that.
Uh,
Cultivating a conscious focus and elevated disposition. Man, that's going to be powerful. Look at Coach Lou. That's a good looking pick, my brother.
well, thanks.
That's a good looking pick. All right. And I also want to invite everybody and know that at the end of June, Sasha Center, who's a friend of TLC, will have an event, be sponsoring an event on June 28th. And I'm blessed to be present. I'll be there June 28th. It is the month of music, Black Music Month. It is the month of to celebrate men. And so we'll be doing all that. We'll be celebrating our culture. So it's healing and redefining and honoring Black legacy. And so please go to Sasha's website at sashacenter.org or and register for the event if you'd like to come. There'll be a separate tour for men that are taking their young men or mentees going on a historical tour in Detroit. Jamon Jordan will be leading us on that, but myself and brother Omari Barksdale, sister Kalima Johnson, Sasha Center, and all the wonderful people there will be sponsoring that on June 28th. It is 9 to 3. Reach out to me, but go to sashacenter.org if you want more information. Looking forward to everybody being there. Peace and blessings to everybody. And I want you, if you continue to get some food from TLC, if you're so inclined to keep giving to this ministry, because we're increasing our healing, we're increasing our work, we're increasing what we do, we're increasing our presence in person, virtually, and all that. Please give to this ministry so we can continue to do what we do. Many ways to give. CashApp, we have Givelify. Go to the website. If all else fails, go to the website. You can give there. Please give generously. Knowing that divine love came into you, blesses and multiplies all that you have, all that you give, and all that you receive. That will come back to you sevenfold, even tenfold. So give TOC, please. Thank you for your presence today. Please share this message with your friends, with your family, with men, with young men. Share this message. Again, we thank everybody. We bless everybody. Royce, Coach Lou, all that. We love you. We bless you. Let's close out with our prayer for protection, knowing that the light of God surrounds us. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us in the presence of God. Watches over us wherever we are. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Amen.
Amen.
Say, so it is. Happy Father's Day, brothers. Happy Father's Day, everybody.
Absolutely.
Peace and love.
Peace and love.
Try me if you want.